Well, hello, folks. Thank you so much for joining us for, well, we got some country and bluegrass. You're about to find out how much in just a few minutes. Gave you a little sample of what we got going on out there. I'm Sarah Stone, your host for the evening, and we are going to have a ton of fun. Sit in your seats and just enjoy the music. It is coming at you in many ways, shapes, and forms tonight, let me tell you. Now, when you think of country music, you may think of barefooted hillbillies, big trucks, lonesome cowboys, okay, twangy guitars, the wife ran off with the dog in the big truck, in the big dirty truck. Okay, all right, well, we've come a long way, baby. Tonight you're going to find out how far. Simply put, country music is nothing but playing music that tells a good story from the heart. Now, before we start things off, though, I'd like to present our reason for being here this evening. Please welcome show organizer Sherry Sharon and Peg Calder, founder and president of the Foundation for Alcoholism Research, or FAR. Thanks so much, ladies, for being here tonight. I feel like I'm playing the tennis now, so I just got to say now, it doesn't work with the alpha. All right? Now, Sherry, I'm going to start with you. Bill and Chuck, along with you, have put on some rock shows in the past, Motown, History of Rock and Roll, awesome stuff, Woodstock, and others. Can you tell us what made you do a country bluegrass show?
I sure can. Well, it really has to do with the benefit here tonight. Last November, my son lost his battle of alcoholism. So we decided, because of his love for country music, that we put on a show. And so we got in touch with Kate over here. She's the president of FAR. And that's how it all happened.
Nicely put, Sherry. Now, as I walk over here, Peg Calder spent her entire career in the computer industry, of all places, in Boston, and Washington areas, then retired up here to the shore of beautiful Lake Champlain. Now, so much for retirement, huh, Peg? She and FAR make their home base just south of here in Bridgeport. So, Peg, why don't you tell us a little bit about FAR, for those of us who may not be as familiar about it as others.
Thank you, Sarah. Well, if I could only do a Johnny Carson moment now, I don't know where to put this. Anyway.
Close to your mouth would be helpful.
First, let me thank Sherry and Bill for making FAR the event this year. As a young grassroots organization, it has been a challenge to get the word out and get the support in this economy. And thank you to all the volunteers on the stage, behind the scenes. We all just so appreciate the generosity of your doing this. FAR, it's a nonprofit, all volunteer charity. It's the Foundation for Alcoholism Research. And I want to stress the word alcoholism. It's the disease. There is a foundation for alcohol research. It's funded by the alcohol beverage industry. Their mission is quite different from ours. Our mission is to raise and distribute funds for research into the detection and the prevention and ultimately better treatment of this devastating disease. 1 in 12 Americans has alcoholism. And as most, if not all of you know, it affects families and communities in ways that other diseases do not. And yet, only 10% of people really get into treatment. And a lot of that is court-ordered. AA has one of the best track records there is. But people lose so much before they get to that point. They lose their families, their jobs, their homes. We think that with better research and more knowledge, that we can detect, like other diseases, we can detect things early and do some prevention here. The National Institutes of Health, they name it as a disease, and yet people still look down on people with alcohol. So they make fun of them, they say they don't control. but it is a disease. And I forgot what I was going to say, sorry about that. Oh, people hide from it, and they whisper about it. Can you believe when I was growing up, we used to whisper about cancer? That seems ridiculous now. People think that, maybe we shouldn't serve alcohol at some of our events if we do. That would be like not serving sugar at a diabetic event. We're not against drinking. We want better health for the people that need it. Far is 2.5 years old, and we gave our first grant the year after we were formed to a neuroscience professor at Bluegrass College, and she is researching the tolerance aspects of alcohol. And we expect to make another grant this year.
Now, and it leads me to the next question, the obvious question. A lot of people often get behind these kind of organizations for a reason. What made you, and many like you, form this organization?
I was part of a very loosely organized group across 6 different states trying to help a young woman, late 30s, early 40s, who had been in and out of jail, lost very good jobs, lost her family. And we finally got her into rehab, talked to the counselors there, and they said that she worked so hard and it was so hopeful. And yet, it didn't take her long to relapse when she came out. And when she came out, she could not see her children unless another adult was present. She couldn't drive at all. And so we set up a schedule, and we rotated, and we took turns with, being with her, with the children. During that process, I would go to probation and work with her. I would go to family services. I would go to counselors. I met a lot of very dedicated people trying to help these people, and probation officers too. They try to help. And the conclusion that I came away from was, they need better methods. We don't know enough. And so I started looking around for an organization like a Heart Fund or a Cancer Society, and there wasn't one. So we started putting one foot in front of the other, and even in this economy, we feel that we've been pretty successful, that we've maintained and grown a little bit and continue to grow.
Wonderful. Now, really quick, if somebody wants to know more about the organization, they want to contact you about it, how would they do so?
Well, there are a number of different ways. We do have a website, alcoholismresearch.org. We're on Facebook. We have a page, Foundation for Alcoholism Research, and we have a cause. It's called Let's Defeat Alcoholism, the Disease. We have a display in the lobby here tonight, and we'll have some literature there for you to pick up. I hope some of you will join our mailing list. Jennifer Honeywood, who is the co-founder and director, is here, as well as James McMillan, our newest board member, is behind the camera, and we look forward to chatting with you. I didn't know how to fuck do this, but my wish is that we can keep these people who are obviously so wonderful that this is happening for him around, and that those that are suffering will not have to suffer quite as much. And thank you all for coming to support foster and friends.
Thank you, Peg, for all that you do. Now, Sherry, back to you. I'm walking this way. Sherry, can you tell us a little more about the songs chosen for this evening?
Yes, I can. I think there's a couple of interesting ones in the brochure. You may wonder why that we chose these. Well, for one, Friends in Low Places. Kind of an odd song to pick, but so we were putting the song list together, mainly Bob's friends put this song list together, but I heard a song by Garth Brooks on Oprah, and he was singing this song, Friends in Low Places, and the audience went nuts, and I'm like, wow, what is that all about? And so I got on YouTube and started watching it again, and I realized the content of the music said something very important, and how we feel disconnected and judged, and so we find a place so that we don't feel that way anymore. And the song says itself, and I just thought it was an important song to include in tonight's program. So I hope you will sing it, and that we'll create our own oasis, because it talks about an oasis, which is the bar. But I think we can create our own fun time here. That was, yeah, so and then the other one I wanted to mention was a bottle of wine. And this is a little bit different, how this got on the program. I had a dream when we were getting ready for this show. I couldn't sleep early in the morning, and I woke up, and so I tossed and turned and thought about the show, and then I went back to sleep, and I had this dream. I dreamed that I was in a strange house and went into the den, and I sat down, and I started singing this song, Bottle of Wine, which I used to sing in my 20s. I haven't thought about it or heard it since then. And I started singing, and I looked, and there was my son, Bob, thank you, and he was sitting in the chair in front of me, and we sang the whole song, Bottle of Wine, and grinning, and I woke up grinning. And I got thinking, well, what does the message, here in this dream? And it seemed like there's a line that says, leave me alone, let me go home and start over. So I knew he was giving me that message somehow. So I thought, why not put it in the show? So anyhow, I wanted to note those two songs.
Well, we kind of help the audience to join in. Tell us about that.
Well, you are going to sing the chorus on both of those songs I just mentioned. So hopefully you'll give it all you got out there. And then there's one other song I do want to mention before we wrap this up and we get this music going. Highwayman. When we had the memorial for Bob, at the end, a really dear friend of Bob's sang Highwayman, and it touched all of us so deeply. And it was really the impetus of this show, sang by Heidi Valentine. And Bob's friends love this kind of music, and they really put the list together. There's a few songs on there, on the program that are our choices, but most of them are put together by his friends. So anyhow, we're going to start the show with Highwayman.
That's right, with our very own Highwayman. Thank you again, Kate Calder and Sherry Sherrod. Let's get it started.